Hey everybody, it's Dan with Philosophical Fishing. How are you doing today? Are you the same person on benzos as you are off of benzos? That may be a question that you're asking yourself, especially if you're still on your tapering journey or still looking to come off of benzos. You'll have to forgive my voice. I've been sick for the past week and a half and I'm still getting all this mucus and crap out of my body, so bear with me for this video. And I was thinking back to the first time that I actually ever used benzos. And I was trying to remember the very first time, and it was probably, I might have been 19 or 20 years old, and I got them from somebody that I worked with at the restaurant who was kind of a drug dealer on the side. And the first time that I remember taking them, it didn't really do much. So the next time I took benzos, I ended up taking about 2 to 3 times the original dose that I took. And the effect that it had on me was so profound. It alleviated so much of my anxiety and made me feel like I was the person that I always wanted to be, but I always felt like I was kind of like trapped inside the shell that I could never get out of. And there was always this barrier between me and everybody else out in the world. And the first time that benzodiazepines affected me, and I actually felt the effects of benzodiazepines, I felt that that wall came down, and I felt that I was able to crack out of that eggshell and actually connect with other people. And what benzos did for me was actually allow me to be the person that I wanted to be and express the things that were really me, that was deep down inside, but I was always maybe too timid or too scared to show the rest of the world. It just allowed me this freedom, like I could freaking breathe and I could exhale, and like I could just take a deep breath and my lungs would fill up and all that tightness in my muscles would go away. And it just gave me this feeling that like finally I found the thing that allows me to be me in the world and exist as I want to exist, and gave me that peace and ease and comfort that I was always looking for. I don't know if that's your experience. You might have just gotten it from a doctor because you couldn't sleep. And so if this experience isn't yours, then just take what you want and leave the rest. I was thinking this past week about, if I was still in the stages of either early benzo damage or thinking about coming off of benzos, or if I was still tapering off of benzos, that thought or that fear, am I going to be the same person off of benzos that I've been on benzos? And I think in a lot of ways, I'm definitely not the same person today that I was when I was on benzos. A lot of things have changed, thank God. I mean, for the better, because a lot of the traits and characteristics and ways that I was in the world when I was on benzos, I definitely do not want to be today, and I don't want to take forward with me. And that's not the kind of person that I want to show up as in the world. Not with my family, not with my loved ones, and just with people in general. I think that I'm much more considerate today. I think that I'm much more conscientious of my choices, of my words, of the way I interact with people. Whereas when I was on benzos, if I had a problem with you or I was angry, I was much more likely to express that in a very unhealthy way and without much consideration for the repercussions. I was just, in general, a lot less careful of my choices in life, and I was much more apt to run into problems because of that. And I caused a lot of damage with a lot of the things that I did and a lot of the poor choices that I made over the years because I was under the effect of benzodiazepines and what that did to my decision-making skills and what that did to my propensity to just act before thinking and act based on pure emotion rather than on sound logic or thinking things through or running things by other people in my life to see what they thought. It was just very destructive way to go through life. And so in that regard, I've definitely changed a lot, and that is a much better way to go through life for me and a much better way to live. And some of the crazy things that, I just did, especially, in my early 20s when, I had a lot of unresolved trauma in my body and in my life. And I didn't even realize it at the time. I didn't even have a word for what it was at that time. it was definitely a lot of rage and anger and fear and anxiety and depression. And all I knew was that I was dealing with all these emotions, and the only way that I knew how to fix it was with medication. And I didn't know that I had all these issues going on that I needed to fix and work out without the use of benzodiazepines and without the use of other medications. And I'm not against all medications by any means, but the healing that I've found since coming off of drugs and meds is that what I needed to do was healing work aside from the medications. I think the medications can be a great tool to assist you as you're healing, but the medications are not the things that healed me. The medications actually just kind of put a blanket and a Band-Aid on my suffering, while my trauma and my real issues just festered right underneath the surface. So I found it necessary to find other healing tools and modalities in my own recovery. So, I used to do so many crazy things, like, I would not say no to any drugs that showed up at parties. I sought out a lot of other drugs, and I put myself in a lot of bad situations, buying drugs at 3 a.m. on the wrong side of town. I would just do crazy things like go to a party and take off all my clothes and run around. I mean, that's definitely not something that I would do aside from, being on a heavy dose of benzodiazepines. And at the time I was younger and it was funny, and, people laughed, and it was like, whatever, that's Dan, he's crazy, he's taking a lot of Xanax tonight, or, whatever the case is. But I also put myself in a lot of dangerous situations with dangerous people that I should not have been hanging around, and things that were definitely not living a healthy lifestyle. I'll just leave it at that. Just abusing my health, my physical health, my mental health. I had no regard for my physical body. My view at the time was that my physical body was just here to get pleasure out of, and that was pretty much the end of it. I didn't respect my physical health, and the lifestyle that I led reflected that. I had little regard for life in general, or for, the people around me. I used people. I looked at people as, somebody who is there for my own selfish benefit. So, if I needed to borrow something, or I needed something from you, or, you had money and, you were willing to spend that money on me to go out to the bars and drink, or to buy drugs, I was so lost for such a long time that, coming off of the benzos and looking back at the person that I was, and how I acted and how I treated people, it was tough to look at, and it was tough to realize that the person that I had been, although under the influence of some very heavy drugs and medication, still I found so many things about me that were objectionable, that I didn't know how to separate from, are those character traits really me, or are those things that I just did because I was on medication? And, some of the things about me, the character traits that I have, after I came off of the drugs and medication, I still found that there were things about me that I had to correct. You can call them character defects, or character traits, or personality traits, but there were things that I still found that I had to work on, and I still have to work on today. I'm not a perfect person. I'll never be a perfect person. I'm not taking my clothes off and running around today, so that's good. But I still have things about me that I see my selfishness that comes up from time to time, or I see how fear can affect me, so that I get angry, and that anger affects the people around me. But I will say that I think, most of the way that I was in my early 20s and my mid 20s, and even into my later 20s, a lot of those actions were a direct result of benzos and other drugs and psychiatric medications too. There were just so many decisions that I made that I think had I been of right mind, I would have done it differently, or I would have hopefully made a better decision. And it's not that I regret those things today. I don't. I don't have regrets. I've mended as much as I can of my past, with the people that I've hurt and the choices that I've made. And I'm comfortable with that today, that's who I was, and that was part of my learning process. And going forward, I know that that's not the same person that I am today. And a lot of that also, I'm sure, was being young and having a lot of trauma that I went through as a younger person, in my childhood, that I didn't realize I was experiencing. And I've done a lot of healing work around that, and there's still some people that I need to make amends to and go back and try to patch things up with. And as time goes on, I intend to do that and, keep living a better, more healthy life. Going through benzo withdrawal and being as sick and my body just being so devastated, I have so much regard for my physical health today that I never had before in my life. And I don't think I could have gotten any other way other than going through benzo withdrawal. It taught me so much and it showed me so much. And having regard for my physical body and my physical health today is paramount for me. It is so huge because I'll never forget being in that treatment center and being as sick as I was and just wishing and being like, oh my God, if I could ever just have my physical health back again, I would be so, so grateful. And knowing that I'm the one who did this to my body, I'm the one who put the drugs in my body. And, I know that's not the case for everybody. Some people are just damaged inadvertently and unknowingly by a doctor. But I wanted to be healthy again so badly, and so I started feeding myself right. I started exercising, and I still try to do all those things today. And I'm so grateful for the physical health that I have today. I know I'm a different person than I used to be. I know that so much of what I did and the choices that I made were definitely due to the benzodiazepines, the psychiatric drugs, the other drugs, alcohol, and, the stuff that's left over that are character traits. I've also had to work to correct those. And, all this has made my life so much more joyful, so much better today, so much more abundant in every way that I have so much gratitude for where I am today and what I had to go through to get to where I am, and that's why I always tell people, I'm nothing special. It's not like God just reached down out of the cloud and touched me and made me, something special to where I, enjoy all this great joy that I have today and all these blessings that I have. I'm just a regular guy who found some tools to deal with life, to heal trauma, and to go forward and live a life that, I didn't even think was possible for somebody like me who had been medicated for so long. And so I just want you to know that that's there for you too. It's, it's there for all of us. And I would love to see, anybody who's been affected by benzos or psychiatric drugs or any other drug or trauma, to be able to come out the other side and live a good life and live a healed life, and to go forward and heal a bunch of those things about yourself that have been damaged in the past. So, man, as always, I wish my voice sounded a little bit better, but I hope this message has gotten across. I just want you guys to know I love you. I love this channel. I love making these videos. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't, like, comment, subscribe, whatever, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. And I love you guys. And I'll see you in the next video.